And, I want to tell you that if you are a PM, what I want you to get out of this is that I want you to know that there is a better way to launch your products. If you're a PM at whatever level, in whatever company, managing whatever type of product, there is a better way to go to market with your product. And I'm going to talk to you about a specific strategy called the product-led go-to-market strategy, which is guaranteed to be able to dramatically increase your product's adoption and growth. So shall we get started for that?
That sounds amazing.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So quick poll. How many product features that we all slog so hard, we sweat, blood, and put so much effort in, how much do you think goes unused by customers? Is there a way to kind of see, Neha and Andy, what people are responding, or is that hard?
Oh, yeah, no, it's on the chat, Subha. So
yeah, perfect.
Yep.
You guys have a far worse outlook than actually the industry does, which is not a bad thing. So it's actually about 1/3. 1/3 of your products actually go unused. So you guys are far more pessimistic than I thought you were, which is good. I think set your expectations low, and then you take it from there. Great. But even if you think about it, if 1/3 of our products and more than that is actually going unused, and think of all the effort that we all put into creating these products, designing these products, launching these products, this is crazy. So I'm here to tell you about how you can turn the situation around, how you can truly create products and launch products, more importantly, that will not go unused by your customers, that your customers will use, they will give you feedback, and you'll be able to quickly turn around, test, iterate, and do some great things with the product. So a little bit about me. I'm currently the Vice President and Head of Product at Loop Commerce. We are a gifting solution and platform. We do all sorts of gifting, whether it is product gifting, gift cards, corporate gifting. So you name it, we have the gifting solution for not only you as a consumer, but also we work with big box retailers to be able to enable their gifting solutions. We were recently acquired by Synchrony, which is the world's largest credit bank. And we at Loop are truly driving the digital product portfolio for Synchrony. And Synchrony's major clients are some of the big box retailers, everything from the Amazons to the Lazy Boy Furnitures of the world. And as you can imagine, being in retail right now is a very challenging time. And so having a digital strategy and having the Loop Commerce team expand that digital portfolio for Synchrony has been really wonderful to see. And being a part of that is I feel even more fortunate to be there. I've been around the block a bit in terms of technology and product. I have a very traditional, classic product management background. I started my career as an engineer. I came to the United States to do my MBA, then was very fortunate to start my product career at eBay many years ago, where Neha talked about that one-click bid, which by the way doesn't exist any longer, but I believe is part of their automatic bidding system. So, which is really great. I mean, it's still, in fact, in my talk, there is an example of that. So I'd love to talk a little bit about that. I've worked both at bigger and smaller companies, and frankly, in my career, I have seen possibly every go-to-market strategy and plan that there is out there, whether it is dozens of people working on the go-to-market and the launch, or we're simply coming up with it overnight at a startup. I've seen the gamut. Aside from my day job, I'm very fortunate to be able to use my skills in product to help entrepreneurs in a couple of really leading startup accelerators in the Valley, 500 Startups, Founders Institute. I teach at Product School. It's my first time here at Product That Counts, so please don't ask hard questions. I'm kidding. So I'm crossing my fingers here. And I'm also an experienced board advisory member for startups, and invest a little bit here and there. So that's just a little bit about me. So what do we have on tap today? So today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about go-to-market, why this is important, why product-led go-to-market, and what does that even mean, and what are the nuances of that. And going to talk a little bit about the benefits of that, show you examples from my career, And finally, share some tips that you can actionable, kind of tips that you can actually walk away with, which will hopefully spur some conversation and inspiration in your workplace. And obviously just summarizing that all together so you have what you need to be able to go back. Does that sound good? Shall we get started? All right, so we're back to pop quiz mode. Thanks for the thumbs up, guys. So we're back to pop quiz mode. So can you give me a sense of how much customer acquisition costs have increased, especially digitally? If you can imagine, most everybody is spending much more time digitally, and everybody's trying to acquire customers digitally through traditional practices, and there are so many newer practices coming up. Because of that, there is a lot of noise. Can you guess how much it's increased by? Which kind of will give you a sense of what your marketing teams are facing. Right, not bad, not bad. It's actually 55%. It's pretty significant. CAC has actually increased by half. In fact, there is data out there that actually says CPM campaigns for companies like Facebook and Instagram and other digital areas have increased almost 2x, which again, if you can imagine what your marketing teams are going through, how your budgets are being stretched, everybody is on digitally and spending more time digitally, and there is a mad race and rush out there to be able to capture eyeballs. And so if you have a digital product, you're in that area and in that spectrum of noise in a way. All right, let's go to the next one. How many users you think are unwilling to pay for your service without using it? What do you think? So these are users that saying, we really want to see and know the product before we use it. Wow, okay. Actually, you guys have far higher numbers than what data actually shows. Data actually shows that about 1/3 of users are unwilling to pay for a product or service without using it. But just the fact that you guys think it is so high is great. You guys think it's a big problem out there that we definitely need to kind of solve for. So hang on to that. How many users say that if they have a bad first-time experience, they're less likely to engage with either the company or the product? What do you think? You guys are a really pessimistic group, I have to say. You guys, we should do a therapy session, not product-led go-to-market here. So actual data says it's about 52%, which even if you look at it, think about it, more than half of customers are actually saying without that if I have a first time, not a great experience, there is no way I'm coming back and using the product. But you guys are on a different level altogether, which is great, and this is broad data that I'm presenting that is across the board for across all digital technology products. The problem might be definitely higher in a niche area. So for instance, we work on a product, which is a digital gifting solution product. Imagine you as a sender, you're trying to use the product, and if you don't like the experience, you're not going to use the product to send another gift again, ever. So there are some areas which I think this is definitely more pronounced. And I can see from the comments too, my team is very pessimistic about this. So I want you to hold on to that. I mean, let's not leave that on, because we do need to, account for a great experience for the first time. And yes, our numbers are probably in the 80-90 range. So overall, Houston, we have a problem. And the problem basically is that your costs are going up to acquire your customers. Your customers' propensity to pay is going down. And more than half of your customers are not going to come back if they have a bad experience. So you don't need to be a financial whiz to figure out that if your costs are going up and your users are not going to pay, or the propensity to pay is going down, this is not good unit economics. And ultimately, this is not what a profitable kind of company would actually be. So again, you don't need to be a genius to kind of figure that out. And that is the problem that most products and most companies are facing in terms of that tidal wave of these factors that are all coming together. A go-to-market plan and a strategy is intended to solve that, because what does it do? A go-to-market strategy is intended to ensure that your product launch reaches the right audience with the right message, with the right positioning, so that your audience understands what is the value of the product and the solution that you're offering, so that they know exactly what to expect. And when they know what to expect, they're able to use it appropriately too. So that's traditionally what a go-to-market strategy is intended to do. And if you look at kind of how go-to-market has evolved, there's an incredible evolution that has happened in go-to-market and how products are actually launched. The first and most common go-to-market strategy that we're all probably aware of is the sales-led one, which is basically that there are sales teams out there trying to acquire customers. This is not only, big enterprise companies like Oracle and SAP, et cetera. We have many startups and many companies actually with the sales-led kind of customer acquisition model. There are many benefits to a sales-led customer acquisition model. So for instance, if it's a highly niche category or a new category, you probably need a sales team that is quasi-sales, quasi-training and evangelization to get the message across. My husband works for an IoT network company. The concept itself is so new that they rely on their sales teams to not just acquire their customers, but also to put themselves out there to be able to really educate that audience. A sales team could also be a great option when you have a customer with potentially an extremely high LTV. So for instance, if your customer is like the Walmart or the Amazons of the world, they probably have an RFP kind of a process for which you need a sales team to kind of go through that life cycle with them. So if you have large enterprise like whale types of customers, there is a benefit in having a sales-led kind of go-to-market plan. The second evolution in terms of how go-to-market plans though have evolved from sales-led is product assisted. So these are mostly SaaS products where truly there is a trial out there, which is key to kind of that buying and that purchase flow. So think about Salesforce and HubSpots, which are truly the front and center of a lot of like SaaS products out there, where there is a trial out there for either a limited period of time or a limited set of features, or for a different type of price, which basically is the way that customers use the product and test the product. And this is, complemented with maybe a lightweight sales team that also addresses any, sales flows that are there in a particular company. But product assisted basically means your product is it's a SaaS product. There's a trial that's actually key to, that purchasing behavior. What we're going to talk about today and the evolution of this go-to-market strategy is that there is this strategy called the product-led go-to-market strategy. And what that means is it's not a white paper. It's not a sales team. It's not webinars or anything that actually drives customer acquisition. It is the product itself that is the main customer acquisition channel, meaning using the product as a customer in your safe space, having the freedom to be able to do that is the primary way that actually customers are acquired. And this is what we're going to talk a little bit about today. I mean, think about LinkedIn. I cannot remember how I signed up for LinkedIn, what the barriers were. It was pretty smooth, because the product is the customer acquisition channel. And it probably happened because somebody else was using LinkedIn and they wanted to connect with me and I got a request, and then I'm like, what is this product all about? And I mean, now LinkedIn is so big and huge, but imagine when we all probably signed up for LinkedIn, it was a fast growing startup at best, where truly the model was that the product was front and center in terms of trialing it. Can you remember anybody who called you to, hey, do you want to use LinkedIn? No. What is interesting is I've actually worked at a company called Simply Hired, where we worked with HR managers. And you can expect that, of course, nobody will call you in a consumer-driven product like LinkedIn, but even the HR managers for whom the LinkedIn initial talent acquisition tools were actually built for, nobody got a call there to it. It was mostly a trial product that was out there, a freemium product that was out there that they could use and give some feedback and actually improve the feedback. And that's how they really built their business teams also along with that. So which is a really interesting case study in terms of how you really look at what's a product-led go-to-market strategy. So let me tell you a little bit more about that. Um, so there are some problems though with the old go-to-market models before we get into the kind of product-led go-to-market. I talked about some of the benefits of the sales-led go-to-market strategy, but there are lots of problems with it. The first most important problem is that your KPIs are probably out of whack, meaning you have extremely high customer acquisition costs. I mean, think about large sales teams, sales funnels, sales cycles, the marketing teams generating lead gen and the funnel behind that. Consequently, because of those cycles and costs associated with that, your revenue per employee, the RPE, is probably pretty low. You're also, because of that, having extremely high MQL churn. And I think this is one thing that the COVID-19 climate has actually exacerbated, which is your leads are, it's tougher to qualify leads. Actually, your qualifying criteria itself has possibly really changed. But that science and that art has really been toppled over, which means overall, you have very low unit economics across the board. And this is one of the biggest indicators of the fact that you need to change your go-to-market model. If your unit economics are out of whack, you have extremely high customer acquisition costs, that's a clear signal and an indicator that that has to evolve. From an organizational standpoint, there are issues too. Think about companies that are more sales-led, for instance. There are sales and business teams on the right, and then there is product and execution teams on the left. Did I say right and left in the opposite? I usually do this. I'm really confused about which is right and left, but you guys get the picture, I think. What happens is your customer feedback is basically second or third degree. You're getting it from the marketing teams or the sales teams or the customer success teams. Not only that, there is a lost in translation problem, but as a product manager, if you're not getting direct customer feedback, your ability to be able to really innovate based on customer needs is limited. Your ability to be able to really use every engineering and development resource you have to be able to innovate and test and learn and iterate based on customer feedback is definitely limited. And more importantly, organizationally, it causes silos between what's called an execution team and what's called a business team. And we work in a world right now that is so dynamically changing that we need these silos to come down. We need more collaboration across the board to be able to really push product out faster and the right product out faster. And also, if you can imagine, this is a model that is hard to scale. Imagine high cost of acquisition, low unit economics and silos across teams. Imagine scaling that model. It's only a problem that is waiting to become bigger. So these are the unfortunate problems with the old go-to-market models, especially kind of the sales-led go-to-market models, which is where the product-led go-to-market strategy comes into the picture. So what is product-led go-to-market strategy? So it's basically a go-to-market strategy that's focused on the end user. It means the product itself is the primary way to acquire customers, to convert customers, and to expand customers. So let me elaborate a little bit more on that. So I truly feel product-led go-to-market is the future, but there are some nuances here in terms of what product market go-to-market actually means, and it basically means you are allowing your customers to evaluate your product in a very easy, frictionless, safe way. Now, there is research that actually says customers nowadays want to self-learn and they want a self-serve product. I still remember one of my best self-serve product examples was when Dropbox introduced this new feature called Paper. And it was this photo kind of organizational tool. And I could have not learned how Paper worked if they had put the best white paper in front of me. but I learned it because there was an easy trial version of the product to use. And I could make a quick judgment and decision on whether this works for me or not. And that is the power and beauty of a product-led go-to-market plan. Now, it does mean these products are mostly digital. They lend themselves well to a low-touch kind of self-serve environment. But if you imagine, if you can carve an experience of the product that your customers are able to trial through a freemium model, your product becomes part of the buying experience for your go-to-market and your field teams, and as your primary go-to-market channel, which is really powerful. Another example is MailChimp. MailChimp, there's an excellent case study done on MailChimp, which talks about for the first 7 to 8 years of their existence, they had these paid plans. It was a fully subscription-based service. And after 7 to 8 years, they introduced this freemium service. So you and I can actually go up and actually sign up for a free MailChimp account. Obviously, it's a limited number of features and things like that, but it will help you get a sense of how the product works. And you can send out maybe one campaign. You could use it to send your holiday invitations. And there's like a lot of use cases that are actually coming out of that. But they quickly found out that their lead gen funnel increased 600% from just the customers that they had from their freemium plan that they had introduced. So needless to say, what is their biggest source of customer acquisition and lead generation? That freemium plan. So they figured out a way to put out a trial and keep that trial free in perpetuity that attracted a significant number of leads for them. And I think it's an extremely powerful example of a product-led go-to-market strategy. Also, I think organizationally, I think it helps when the PM really gets out there and involves themselves in more outbound activities. As a PM, I remember many roles that I've had where the role can be very inbound. It's working with the designers and the engineers and the project managers to be able to really get that product out. And while I think a product-led go-to-market plan doesn't, absolve us of that responsibility of building that great product with that team internally, what actually it really helps us with is to really get out there from an outbound standpoint, get in front of customers, and really hand off to sales teams and field teams, and to be able to really enhance the work that sales teams and field teams also do. And I'll talk a little bit more about that too. So some other examples of product go-to-market strategies that I think has been really helpful for me to be able to understand how different companies are actually doing this is an excellent example is Calendly. I remember receiving the first Calendly invite. I never knew what Calendly was from somebody that I had wanted to actually have some sort of a conversation with. I don't even remember what, but I remember the using the product, and I didn't have to sign up. I didn't have to enter any credit card, nothing, to be able to just use the product, which was so cool. So the next time I thought about, hey, how can I open my calendar to the founders of these accelerators so that they can schedule time on my calendar? I mean, it was a no-brainer that I was going to go to Calendly. And guess what? Because of some cookie greatness, they already had some information, and they actually knew how to sign me in very quickly too, because I had signed up for a slot before on somebody else's calendar. So that simplicity in terms of experience is actually very powerful and a great example of a product-led go-to-market plan. I'd love to talk about Miro and Upwork too, but I did want to do a quick time check. Neha, how are we doing on time?
I think we're okay. The content's really good. So I'll encourage us to, go through your slides, and then, yeah, just take some more time if you need it. But I don't want to miss that on the content. And just a quick reminder, folks, start chiming in your questions on chat, and I'll moderate them as soon as Subha is done with her deck.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Neha. So how many guys have used Miro here? I mean, we tested this product internally. In fact, Dave on my team actually tested it, and I was stealth testing it on my own too. And I mean, imagine a product that is so for COVID-19, right? I mean, remote whiteboarding, visualization, like really getting the teams together. Such not only an amazing product to be able to trial, because there is a trial, you can actually create your first board for free and things like that, those calls to action are very evident on the homepage that, really draws you in. But it was a great trial experience also that I had. And what is really interesting about Miro is their product-led go-to-market strategy has really paid off well. I mean, recently, if you've seen the news, they had a $50 million Series B round that they raised from Iconic Capital. And Iconic Capital is somebody that has invested in companies like Snowflake and Aiden and other really, iconic companies, if you may. And typically also there is research that actually indicates that product-led go-to-market companies are valued 2x to 3x more. So these are really indicators of the fact that this go-to-market strategy is better business sense. Upwork is another company which I was really fortunate to actually be a part of in its earlier avatar as Odesk, where I remember we had a 100% community tested feature launch approach. I mean, there was no feature that was launched unless the community used it at some level. So we had to figure out how to put a product out there that the community will use, test, give us feedback, and that's how we iterated on it. And we had, first few transactions for free. There was no upfront commitment. And so it was really easy to kind of, as an employer, if you may, set up something on Upwork as your first job and put that out there. And that was really one of the focus that we were trying to drive, which is more demand for work. So yeah, these are all examples of, lesser known examples of great product, driven go-to-market. I think a lot of us are obviously aware and of the LinkedIns and the Facebooks and all of the world, but I think these are some lesser known examples which really resonated with me because it was a really simple, great product behind a trial experience that they put out there, which was very simple for you to be able to use and offer feedback and iterate on that. So basically, what are the advantages of a product-led go-to-market? Now that we've seen these various companies, we've seen what they do from a product standpoint, and hopefully it's given you some inspiration on, hey, what can I do? And I'm going to talk about, kind of some tips that you can walk away to. But what are some advantages in general? I mean, I think the first and most important advantage is your numbers will be on your side. You'll have your ratio of LTV to CAC will be so much better than what you would traditionally be able to have in a traditional sales-led go-to-market. And why is that? I mean, think about this. Your customer acquisition costs will decrease because you have faster sales cycles. Your customer is directly using the product and actually giving you feedback. So they're already in the kind of funnel in terms of customer acquisition. And it really helps to get that feedback to be able to improve that product, which then leads to a higher LTV, because when your customer is at the center of the product, you're building it for them, they will use it longer, they will use it more. And when that happens, your LTV numbers will also improve. So just from a KPI standpoint, product-led go-to-market totally makes sense because your LTV to CAC will definitely be better. The second reason why there's an advantage to a product-led go-to-market is it unlocks top of funnel by opening product usage and demand earlier. So for instance, think about this. I mean, you will have customers who may have traditionally gone through filling out long forms to use the product or long sign-up flows, but instead of doing all of that, they will actually be using the product and giving you feedback, which will really unlock so many opportunities in terms of how you interact with the customer, of bringing the customer into the funnel. And this as a model is way easier to scale than putting a host of like field teams on this to be able to, scale and acquire different customers. So getting your customers earlier into the funnel and having them use the product is a significant advantage, not only for the feedback that you will get, but for the fact that, it just unlocks so much opportunity from a demand standpoint. And again, needless to say, the more customers are in, the more feedback you will get. Some will love it, some will hate it. But this is the beauty of getting all that feedback in to be able to improve your cycle of testing, iteration, and the planning that you will do from a roadmap standpoint. And all of these are individual topics in themselves. I mean, the testing, the iteration, and the roadmap planning. So I'm not going to talk in detail about each one of these, but just the fact that you have the opportunity to get that feedback early is extremely powerful for your product development lifecycle. And more importantly, it frees up your field teams. Product-led go-to-market, and I think one of the myths of product-led go-to-market is that, no, we don't need sales teams anymore, or we don't need field teams anymore. That's actually a myth. We actually need them even more than before, because their work is focused less on the demand gen and the lead gen part of it, but more on very strategic relationship building, cross-sell, upsell activities much earlier in the funnel. Because your product is out there, people are using the product, they're giving you feedback, they're in the lead gen funnel anyway. So it frees up your field teams to really focus on, how can I increase LTV here? How can I cross-sell and upsell to this customer? And these are extremely strategic conversations that actually happen much later in the life cycle of a typical sales-led go-to-market strategy, which will happen way earlier in a product-led go-to-market strategy. So the myth is that we don't need these field teams anymore, but the fact is that actually we need these sales teams more than ever, and their work is so much more strategic and important to this process moving forward. So let me tell you a little bit about my own personal examples of go-to-market product-led go-to-market examples. And I hope, this again gives you some inspiration. Neha talked about one-click bid. I think till I die, this is probably one of my claim to fame, because there's so much, content out there, and there's this video out there. I also have a patent on this, which is really cool. But what we did was really interesting. What we did was we built a product. We built a very, MVP version of the product, and we used 2% of eBay's audience to be able to really test it out there and put it out there. Now, there is an advantage to having eBay as the mothership when you're actually testing a product like one-click bid, but in that context, it was really helpful. How customers would learn of the product, not through an email campaign or through white papers or webinars, but we did an open blog post. I did short form videos, and those open blog posts they had a lot of velocity of feedback from customers going back and forth. And what was really interesting to see is there were people who actually used the product and gave feedback on it and kind of assumed roles of like ambassadors, and were actually responding to some of the feedback, which was really interesting to see. Because of those strategies, we had literally zero CAC. We didn't spend a single dollar on any sort of like onboarding training to be able to acquire these customers to use one-click bid, because it was a different call to action. There was a choice that you needed to make, but for the people who used it, we spent literally nothing on CAC. Because of the open form blog post and the short form videos, there was a high velocity of customer feedback. And so we used that feedback extensively to be able to build out our multivariate test and really achieve that product ultimately that we felt from a technology standpoint was truly driving one of the highest conversion increases for eBay at that point of time, which again, eBay is a massive platform, millions and millions of bids and purchases happening. And for us to be able to impact that conversion that way significantly was actually really, really amazing. As I mentioned, one-click bid doesn't exist right now, but that technology exists as part of their automated bidding product. And it still drives about 25% of their bids. People who use automated bidding actually convert at 50 to 60% more than the regular bidding flow. So these are all great KPIs that we were able to see, and at a platform that is as large scale and mature as eBay. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is that even if you are working in a company that is extremely large and you feel like you don't have much control over what is actually happening, my sincere request is that please think about the impact that you can have in your area, because you do. And the way you launch your product, even to a small subset, can truly change the way product launches are actually done. And that product-led go-to-market plan that you have in your small to own tiny product in context of the larger product could be the game changer for the product overall. So don't be afraid to test it. Another example is I worked at a startup called Zenfolio, where I headed product and design at one point of time. And we were a professional photographer. We are a professional photographer, platform. So we're a platform that offers business services to photographers. You can create your website, store your pictures, do commerce activity, etc. So much like SmugMug and Shutterfly. Zenfolio wanted to enter the school and sports photography market, and you would be amazed how big that market is. I mean, these are people who will come to schools and colleges and photo your kids for your yearbooks, and click your sports teams pictures and videos and etc. We could have, so we were addressing school and sports photography houses. That was our target audience. We could have easily, so these are small and medium businesses or enterprise businesses, because of, they're large photography, chains and houses too. We could have easily taken a sales-led driven approach, where we put a sales team and a business development team behind this, and actually did a very traditional lead gen funnel to be able to acquire these leads and prospects. What we instead did is we slivered a portion of our existing Zenfolio product. We created a free MVP trial to perpetuity, and we built continuous feedback loops. We also did hire sales and biz dev folks, but what their activity was focused more on was handing the product over to those prospects and following up on the feedback, and really enabling and talking about the relationship to be able to enable that connection. Whereas all the traditional schools and sports photography companies were taking more of a sales-led go-to-market strategy. So very distant from, from the product and the technology. And I remember participating in so many conversations with the sales team, with prospects, with customers. So our product and design team was truly front and center in terms of, even closing sales, if you may. So what that happened, what impact that had was that we spent little to nothing on training. I don't remember generating huge amount of like white papers or webinars to be able to announce that Zenfolio has entered the school and sports photography space. I think it was all through putting an MVP trial product out there and allowing the people to use it and getting feedback on it. And what was really interesting about this, and something that I'm so proud of for the team, is we went from Zenfolio Who to, within the school and sports photography segment, actually a top player within 12 to 15 months, which is amazing. I mean, these are all, we're competing against some big houses here, and we were able to establish ourselves as the top 3 players, in the span of the month. And this is truly because of the product-led go-to-market strategy that we had. And we didn't have the context of an eBay, for instance. We all had to do this on our own. So I think this is another example of how hopefully you can see that regardless of whichever size of company you're in, a product-led go-to-market strategy, if your CAC and LTV are off, it still makes sense to be able to do. So here are my top tips for you for product-led go-to-market. So as I mentioned, if your CAC is out of whack, CAC is out of whack. Okay, I didn't realize that rhymed. If your LTV is low, if there is an incredibly long sales funnel that you're looking at, if you are separated from, the customer feedback, you need to test out product-led go-to-market. And how do you do that? The first is use a simple framework. One of my most favorite simple product frameworks is Nereal's Hooked. It's a 4-pronged framework: trigger, action, variable reward, and investment. And it truly puts the customer value front and center. So if you think about one-click bid, and in terms of this context, the trigger was that people were losing their auction at the last minute, and they were really frustrated, and they really wanted a faster way to be able to win that auction, especially at that last minute. The action was to be able to use the one-click bid feature. The variable reward is the fact that they would get instant status, where earlier you have to wait for an email, which takes a few seconds to come. But even few seconds is time is money here. So and it's a completely disjointed experience. I mean, you have to go to your email and then check your status. But here you have instant status. You'll know if you've won. You'll know if you've lost. And that actually gave a lot of trust and confidence to the users. So the investment that they did was that they were encouraged to come back and rebid. And what that ended up happening is that triggered that sense of like competition and that loop, which was really interesting. So I can tell you in how many areas this hook framework has worked, and this is a very simple framework of truly putting the customer value up front and center. The next is simplify your product. Draw a straight line, remove any fluff and fat, and simplify a sample of your customer experience and see if you can offer it for free. Because what that does is, one, it removes barriers. It helps address those customers who really want to use their product and self-educate and learn in their own safe space. The other beautiful thing that it does is your CAC is, next to zero in this when you actually put something out there. So low cost, you can take some risk in terms of, the things that you need to do. So which is then really powerful for you. And needless to say, collaborate, test, and learn. So I don't mean this exercise for product-led GTM to be a rogue exercise that each one of you would take up within your companies. This is intended to be a part of your strategic framework. So you need to collaborate internally with your stakeholders to ensure that this is a test that you are going to run and that everybody's on the same page on this. Test and learn not only the product, but also the approach. Maybe the product-led go-to-market plan would not work for you. Maybe you notice that most of the, customers, like you guys had a pretty pessimistic view in the end. I mean, 80% of customers will not come back, and maybe they won't come back, but, investing in a lead gen funnel to acquire those 80% of customers who won't come back is far more effective than possibly going out there in terms of investing and, doing a lead gen funnel from scratch. So thinking about kind of not only testing the product, but also testing the approach. And obviously, needless to say, involve customers early, because that feedback is truly what will help you develop a better product. I think one of the things that, is important for me to kind of, understand through this process is that when we're doing this in a company, there is so much noise and feedback within the company, especially from various teams in a company. And, at a level, they all mean well in terms of the feedback they're all giving. However, the most important feedback for you to improve your product must be your customer's voice. And so putting the product out there early, getting real customer feedback is the best and sure shot way for you to improve your product. And product-led go-to-market kind of forces you to be able to do that, because your product is truly front and center. And the primary way, again, that you will acquire, convert, retain, and grow your customers. So some behaviors that should be kind of replicated in your company if you're having a product-led go-to-market strategy, or you can also use this as a checklist, if you may. A product-led marketing team should actually ask the question, how can we use the product as the number one lead engine, versus more white papers or documents that we need to create? How can we really how can I work with my product team to simplify this product experience, put a trial out there, get more people to use it, and get more feedback? And then how can I improve that experience? That's how a product-led marketing team thinks. A product-led sales team thinks, how can we use this product to qualify our prospects? So instead of long, detailed RFPs, which for some companies will still be the case, how can I get the product out there? And how can I get this customer to trial the product? And once they trial the product, how can I then build a feedback loop? That is far more effective, in terms of engaging them, retaining them, getting them interested, than any of the other older kind of, sales-led go-to-market models. A customer success team ironically asks the question, how can this product really do its job on its own, so I don't have to be in the middle of a lot of the questions and the support that actually needs to be, so that my work as a customer success professional is focused on more higher value activities, like, as I mentioned, cross-selling, upselling, and truly building the relationship, versus being like a customer support person, which is one of the more common complaints that we hear from customer success teams too. And importantly, from an engineering team internally, we're asking, how can we really build a product with quick time to value? There is nothing quick nowadays. Everything is so complicated. So quick is definitely very relative. But the fact of the matter is that if you are focused on simplifying your product experience, you can really put it out there for your customers to use. Time is money, and that focus and that obsession in terms of that simplification and putting it out there is well worth the effort in terms of what you will get back in return. So an engineering team should be collaborating with the product team to be able to really see how we can simplify the message, moving forward. So I've come to the end. So I just wanted to quickly summarize. Neha, one more minute and I think we'll be done, if that's okay. So summary of where we are right now. So the first thing is decide what go-to-market works for you. Product-led may not be for everybody. If you're building the next Fitbit, maybe it's not product led, but even there, I would say, is there an MVP product that you can actually put out there that, that customers can use and give feedback on? So really decide which go-to-market plan is the best one for you, but make that a conscious decision. The second is, if you decide product led, then simplicity is key. Simple framework, the Nereal's framework will not fail you. Simplify your customer experience end to end. Collaborate quickly, cross-functionally, test and learn. These should be the ideals of how you simply break things down and get customer feedback and build better products on. And really importantly, my last sincere request is to get out there. As product managers, we spend so much time in inbound activities in terms of building the product, designing the product, that I find that there is a exhaustion when it actually comes to actually launching the product and customer feedback. But get out there, put the product out faster and earlier, and see if there, involve yourself in more of the outbound activities. Sit with sales teams and actually go through the sales exercises of how they can focus on the more cross-sell and the upsell part, and understand your role in it. Get customer feedback early on. And I think if there's one really sincere request I have to PMs out there, it would be really get out there. Your customers are out there. They're waiting to give you feedback. It's really up to us to be able to gather and corral that feedback. And importantly, make sure that that voice of customer feedback is the number one feedback to be able to build a better product, within your company. So that's it. That's a little bit about, kind of product-led go-to-market. And, I would love your feedback. So if you could please take a moment and point your phone camera at this, it will pop up a SurveyMonkey link. And if it doesn't, the link is there. Please give me feedback, because I'd love to know if this content was useful for you or not. I mean, any feedback is appreciated for me. So thanks for that.
Yeah. Thank you, Shubha. That was wonderful. And also, we'll also send out an NPS survey, Shubha, to this audience. So you'll also get feedback from that. Awesome. But yeah, instant recall, right? There's in the moment, this is product-led feedback.
Yes.
Okay, we're open for questions, folks, as others are, taking the survey. Any questions? You can take the mic, or you can post them on chat. Either way, or, just if you want to send it to me, that's fine too.
Or we can chit chat.
Yeah, I do have a couple. Okay, yeah, there we go. We've got one question from Jamie. If you're starting from scratch, do you build the premium product first or the freemium product first?
It's a great question. The question is, it is a bit layered, because depending on whether you are in context of a larger company like eBay, or, just part of a standalone, company like I was at Zenfolio, the context and the answer is completely different. The ethos, though, of a product-led go-to-market is that you get your product out early. Time is money, and time is critical. And the earlier you get feedback, the better you will be able to make your product. So I think time is probably the lever that I would use to be able to get things out. And the sooner you can get things out for feedback, that would be better. If that means creating a freemium product, that would be great. If that means creating a premium product, so be it. But I think we all probably, if we use common sense, we'll probably know that creating a freemium product, which again, if it's free, then people's expectations are also set in terms of the feature set that they would be exposed to, the pricing, the level of sophistication and kind of the features or functionality, is probably a better way to go in most cases, because of, again, what I said in terms of getting it out there, time to market, getting customer feedback early on, and iterating based on that. So if I had to pick one in terms of a vote, given I'm not aware of so many other levers in terms of like the context and things like that, I would pick freemium, just because it would be a faster time to market.
+1 on that. Okay, we have another question. How do you motivate your leadership teams to drive a shift towards product-led go-to-market?
So Priyanka actually works for me. So Priyanka, is that a question for me? So Priyanka and I both are in the product team where, I think I think we struggle with this, on a daily basis. How do you get people corralled on this? How do you get people aligned on this? And this is a true challenge. In fact, if anything, the challenge isn't putting out the product, but the challenge is actually aligning the teams to be able to ensure that this is the right strategy. In this, I have 3 tips. So Priyanka, take the 3 tips, and I'm expecting, you to act on this like starting now. So the first tip is, um, like in most cases, show the vision, show the case. I think there is one thing, there is so much happening right now. And I know, I'm part of an e-team at Luke Commerce and at Synchrony. It is unbelievable the amount of things that are happening, both from an organizational standpoint, market standpoint, customer standpoint, HR standpoint. Corralling and aligning the leadership team is definitely, an art and a skill. And the way to do this is to be able to really help them see the vision of this. So if there is a quick prototype that we can actually build in terms of what this experience would actually look like, how would a simpler experience look like? Even if it's just mock-ups, and putting it out there and getting feedback on it and iterating on it and making sure that this is something that we can achieve, that is actually very powerful to visualize. Because I think what leadership teams are also facing right now, and being part of that, I can tell you, is just sheer exhaustion in terms of the amount of data that's coming to us, the amount of things that we have to analyze and make decisions on. So the more visual you can make this in terms of the opportunity, the better. That's the first thing. The second thing is, like in any case, build a business case for it. I mean, we know product-led go-to-market has lower CAC, has higher LTV. Build a case for this, show the numbers. So yes, you have to don on your math hat a little bit as a product manager, and but if you do it, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and again, you don't have to be a financial whiz, again, to make a business case on the fact that, your unit economics are better as a company. So I think the combination of just the data that you would have, and the fact that if you could show something visual that can truly capture leadership teams' attention in all of the noise that is happening, will be really helpful to, one, get their attention, and to align and at least have a conversation on the advantages of a product-led go-to-market plan. Does that make sense, Priyanka? So I'm expecting to see that prototype tomorrow, okay?
Yeah, sure, on it. Thanks, Shubha.
Okay, we have another one from Shantanu. For an enterprise product, how would product-led go-to-market look like?
Yeah, no, this is a great question, actually. So if you looked at Oracle, and my husband started at Oracle, I think a couple of decades ago, and he's obviously followed it because he still has colleagues who are there. Oracle started as an on-prem service. Like, actually, there would be people from a support standpoint coming to your office and like putting in tapes and disks and installing that software. Think about the transition that Oracle has made to cloud, and the transition to cloud and digital overall has been tremendous across the board. And you now, if you're a small business user, have the ability to actually test drive Oracle applications. What I think it's called the human-centered management application, pretty quickly. So that's the innovation that they have done. So even in a company like Oracle, their transition to cloud has been pretty significant in the last decade, but even within that, they have created pockets of trials in various products that people can use and give feedback on very quickly. So guys, if an Oracle can do it, any other company can. So I think there is always a way to be able to figure out a sliver of that customer experience that you want to trial. And if you have the budget, like in Oracle, put it out there for free in perpetuity and get some feedback. And now I think, there's so many other applications on top of their human-centered, like their HR application, which is really awesome, but it really started off with putting out a trial out there.
Yeah, and I can add that a lot of enterprise products put a time-bound limit. So they may give you a full experience of the product. You don't need to trim down your freemium product, but they say you can use this product for 30 days for free. So think about using the time dimension as well in the enterprise space. Cool, absolutely. Awesome. Yeah. All right.
I got one more question.
Yeah,
do you make a key differentiation between product-led go-to-market strategy and just say, opening up your product to a certain set of beta users, right? Like that's kind of the standard, at least in my world, was you have a beta set of users that are identified by your sales team or identified by your market research that are good for this product, and you're getting constant feedback from them to iterate. And so I'm just curious if that is a part of the product-led go-to-market strategy in your definition of the word, or is it something completely different?
It's a great question. So, sometimes the symptom of the fact that we have a sliver of a product, as you mentioned, where you have customers giving feedback as beta testers, is actually a symptom of a bigger problem, which is we're really then trying to like force fit maybe a sales-led go-to-market strategy for a company that actually probably needs something different. If you're truly product-led, that means you have a sliver of the product that is not only available to a set of curated beta users, but is actually available to most every user who wanted to sign up for it. That is the true power of a product-led go-to-market strategy. So I think the curated set of beta users, I mean, any feedback is useful, putting it in front of customers at any point of time, one is bigger than zero. So it's great to be able to do that. But truly what makes the differentiation in a product-led go-to-market strategy is if you have something out there that is more broadly used by an uncurated set of users, which also means you will get some very broad, kind of levers of feedback, which is actually really interesting. Does that answer your question? Is that Dylan who asked the question?
Yeah, it was, and it did. Thank you.
And did it answer your question, Dylan?
Yeah, I did. I think it more narrowed one of my, I guess, throughout the presentation, just curious about the exact definitions of in what was sales go-to-market, sales-driven go-to-market, driven go-to-market. I think that just the definition of what those are was a little bit unclear.
That's totally fair. I think I did focus a little bit more and probably rush to the product market, product-led go-to-market. But sales-led go-to-market is basically means you have exactly what you're mentioning. The sales team actually curates a set of prospects, generates leads, and the product is actually exposed to a very small set of folks, or not at all until they've signed on the dotted line and contracts till we actually get there. So that's a more traditional sales-led go-to-market, which, by the way, as I mentioned, has its advantages. If it's a niche category, if it's a growing category in terms of like a completely new category, or extremely high value accounts, like if your customer is like an Amazon or a Walmart and they have an RFP process, then yes, you do need to kind of adhere to that, if you may. Does that make sense, Dylan?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, we're getting to the time for shout outs. Feel free to stick around if you'd like to. If you have some more questions, we can get back into those after we've done some shout outs, but I want to give everyone the opportunity, as Neha said at the start. If you're looking for a job, let us know who you are and what you've done, and maybe someone will reach out to you or offer some networking opportunities. If you're hiring, you can shout that out. As we said, if you're developing something and need some testers, maybe you got a go-to-market strategy cooking up you want to say something about, but we'll give you the floor. Turn on your mic, your camera if you want. The time is yours.
I'll go first. Shubha, great meeting you earlier, and thank you for the talk. I really enjoyed it. My name is Jonathan Berg. I am VP of Product at Herman International. Our mission is better thinking for a better world. We help people by giving them an assessment to help them understanding their thinking preferences, and then we help teams work together more effectively by benefiting from a diversity of thought. So I am hiring for a product manager. I'm looking for a product manager for my team to lead. We're pretty early stage. Actually, we're 30 years old, but we're kind of a startup. So it's kind of an interesting place to be. And we are very much in growth mode and looking for a product manager to manage a number of our online experiences as we move from more and more into the SaaS space.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Should people reach out to you on LinkedIn if they're interested?
Yep, LinkedIn would be great. Is there a contact list going out after this, or how's that working?
We don't generally share the contact list with the guests, but yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best approach.
I'll drop my email in the chat then.
Oh yeah, that's a good way too. Anybody else?
I just wanted to, just do a shout out, and I wanted to say that I think, especially during COVID, I think the role of a product manager is not only more critical, but it's also becoming increasingly harder, and I empathize with that. If there is anything that I could do to be able to help any of the folks here in terms of helping, review your resumes, if you're finding the next opportunity, or just bouncing off ideas of how you could do product management better within your own organization, I'm happy to be a resource for that. So please do connect with me, and I'm happy to do that.
Awesome. It's very generous, and it's been my favorite part about doing these webinars over the last 7 months is seeing our network get to come together and how expansive it is. When we're in the chapter cities, we've got 6 cities worth of events, but we've had people from Hawaii to Puerto Rico to Australia and Vietnam, and it's really awesome to see the product community come together like that. So I appreciate you extending that offer. And we've got a few more minutes. If anyone else wants to take the floor or has any further questions, or I can let us do an awkward silence for a few more minutes.
I can go next. Hi, my name is Jamie. I'm a product manager here at Chegg, and I'm looking for new opportunities in which I can have bigger impact. Specifically, I've been pretty rusty with my interview skills, so I'm looking for others to help me practice and do mock interviews. So I will also drop my email in the chat, and look forward to connecting.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Yes, I think practice interviews go a long way, and take Subha up on it. She just offered herself.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Do a quick shout out for myself. Dylan was formerly director of product at realtor.com, looking for my next opportunity as well. Any industry, but mainly just looking to either manage a small team or have a significant individual contributor role, just driving value for customers and businesses. So that's about it.
Yeah, Dylan, connect with Jonathan. He's hiring for his team.
Yeah, heard that.
Awesome. Great. If anybody else wants to go, now's the time. Else we'll wrap up.
We should do a poll on who has the better library background, Dave or Andy.
Yeah.
Andy's got that Tiny Desk concert vibe, so I'm digging Andy's better. So you got my vote.
Oh, thanks. And
My response will
both
be
of them do. Yeah, what both of them do well is the depth of field. That's what really creates that does it so well. But yeah, I just Googled color coordinated library, and that's how I got to mine.
Nice. Actually, I vote for Subha's background. I think that's the best.
Even though the head is cut, I tried.
No, you're taking the whole branding with products that count. That's awesome.
Woo-hoo. Go,
I
go.
did.
Yeah.
I did create a version of this background that has like a welcome sign, like a sandwich board with the PTC logo, but it was too small and I kept blocking it and it was causing more clipping, so I don't use that one that often.
All right. I think that was awesome, Subha. That was just extremely insightful. And thank you for sharing your examples, the frameworks. You put took a lot of time to prepare that really helpful slide deck, and we really enjoyed your talk. Lots of good takeaways for us. So thank you, audience, for joining us. I know it's a commitment to sit through another Zoom call, another meeting, but we know that these kind of investments pay off in the long run. In fact, day to day as well. You can start applying some of this tomorrow at your jobs. And hope others found value in networking with each other. Our community is pretty strong, so connect with us on LinkedIn, and we'll connect with you. We'll encourage and facilitate the collection with any relevant people you need to meet. We will be sending an NPS survey, so please do share feedback that we'll pass on to Subha. And you will see the recording of this video go online next week, Andy, or in a couple of days?
The recording will be on our Vimeo by tomorrow, and the blog post should be up by Monday at the latest.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you missed some part of the conversation, you can always catch up on it.
Can you remove all my filler words, Andy?
They
I'm
were
a decent editor. I'm a decent editor, but yeah, I don't.
I got you taken care of, Subha.
That is so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you once again, Subha. We really appreciate it. Thank you for helping strengthen our community. Thank you all for joining. Have a great evening.
Thank you all. Thanks for the opportunity again, guys. Great to meet you all. Bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Stay high. Thanks to
Thank
Subha,
you.
and thanks everyone for attending. We'll see you guys next time.